Many years ago, in a typical Nigerian compound, a quiet woman named Wendy moved into room number 12. The compound was one of those busy Nigerian compounds where privacy was expensive because conversations traveled without visa and people knew each other as rent status, quarrels, family secrets, and cooking timetable. When Wendy arrived, she did not come with drama or trailer blocking the gates. Rather, she just came with 2 suitcases, 1 small freezer, 1 red pot, and a husband who looked permanently happy. Well, that was the first suspicious sign. Her husband greeted everybody, "Good evening." People responded politely, "Evening." But their eyes were measuring. After all, new tenants must be studied. It is the law. Wendy was quiet. She was not proud. She smiled and greeted everyone properly, and she did not overshare. Now that alone made Mama Ephine uncomfortable. Mama Ephine was the unofficial intelligence officer of the compound. She did not collect salary, but she collected information faithfully. If something moved, she knew. And if something smelled different, she would investigate it. 3 days after Wendy moved in, a strange event happened. It was a Wednesday afternoon. The sun was high. The children were restless, and Mama Ephine was arguing with someone about borrowed salt when suddenly the air changed. It was subtle at first. A smell floated, particularly steel smell. This was not an ordinary stew smell. Oh, not a mistakenly added 20 Maggie smell. This one was rich, deep, and confident. It entered noses boldly and refused to leave. Mama imposed. "Wait," she said slowly. The other woman sniffed. "HM, who is cooking?" The smell grew stronger that even the children stopped running. One small boy abandoned his biscuits and looked around like a dog that heard a whistle. "Something is happening," he said seriously. From inside her room, Felisa lifted her head from where she was shaving her armpits. "HM," she sniffed. The smell reached every corner of the compound. It climbed stairs, entered windows, and passed through doors without knocking. Even the landlord cleared his throat from his balcony and asked, "Who is cooking like this?" Within 5 minutes, all activities reduced and questions floated everywhere. Is it Christmas? No. Is it wedding? No. Then what is the occasion? The smell was not just food. It was temptation. It was memory. It was accusation. In fact, it was an unfair advantage. Mama followed her notes like a trained officer and observed. It is coming from the new woman's side. Everyone slowly turned towards Wendy's room. The door was closed, but the window was half opened, so steam rose confidently. Felicia whispered, "Maybe she's a Ketra." Mama narrowed her eyes. No ordinary crack cooks like this without announcing. They decided to send the children there first because children are the safest spies. "Go and check," Mama ordered one boy.
"Check what?"
the boy asked.
"Just look and see what she's cooking."
The boy approached Wendy's window cautiously and stood on tiptoe. Then he came back running. "What did you see?" they asked him eagerly. "I saw a red pot." There was silence for a minute. Then they asked, "Anything else?" "I saw Pepe." "Is that all?" The boy nodded. The women looked at one another. "That can't be possible. Pepe does not smell like that alone." Meanwhile, inside, Wendy stirred her stew calmly. She was unaware that an investigation had begun outside. Just then, she added something from a small bowl, and steam rose again. Strong at this time. "Outside!" Mama Ephine gasped. "Ah, can you smell that?" "What?" She added something. "The smell has tripled." Felicia's eyes widened. What kind of something could it be? Mama Ephine lowered her voice. "I don't know yet," but that was enough to begin speculations immediately. Maybe she learned from the village. Maybe her mother is from the river. Maybe she feeds her husband something. At that same moment, Wendy's husband stepped outside, stretching happily. "Ah," he said loudly. "Wendy's stew is ready." That sentence sealed everything. Wendy. Mama repeated slowly. So that was the name of the magician. Wendy's husband smiled at the compound. My wife cooks very well, he announced proudly to nobody in particular. Well, that was mistake number 2. How dare you praise excellence loudly in a shared compound. Felicia leaned close to Mama. Do you think she's normal? Mama folded her arms. We shall see. By evening, nobody cooked anything heavy because their motivation had left. Every pot in the compound now felt inferior when the men returned from work and asked questions like, "Why does the compound smell like a hotel?" The women answered defensively, "It is the new tenants." They raised their eyebrows. Oh, but that carried weight. Unfortunately, by night, the smell still remained in the tenant's memory. The new neighbor, Alira, was a mystery. She moved into the old house at the end of the street, the one with the crooked shutters and the overgrown garden. We'd see her sometimes, a silhouette in the window or a fleeting figure tending to her herbs at dusk. But what really got the neighborhood talking wasn't her reclusive nature. It was the smell. Every Tuesday, without fail, a scent would waft from her kitchen. It was an aroma so intoxicating, so rich and complex, it would stop you in your tracks. It smelled of roasted garlic, exotic spices, and something else. Something deeply savory and utterly unfamiliar. It clung to the air, seeped into our homes, and made our own dinners seem bland and uninspired. My next-door neighbor, Mrs. Gable, was the first to voice her suspicions. Peering over our shed fence, her eyes wide, she whispered, "That's no ordinary beef stew. Mark my words." Soon, the whole neighborhood was buzzing. Mr. Henderson, a retired butcher, swore he couldn't identify the meat. The local gossip, Brenda, started a group chat dedicated solely to the Tuesday stew. Theories flew around like autumn leaves. Was it some rare, imported came? An ancient family recipe with a secret ingredient, or something stranger? The smell was driving us mad. It made our stomachs rumble with a hunger that was almost painful. My kids started refusing my spaghetti, asking when we could have what the magic lady was making. I'd find myself standing at my window, just trying to get a better whiff. My mind racing. The aroma was more than just food. It was an obsession. It promised comfort, warmth, and a satisfaction we couldn't quite name. One Tuesday, curiosity finally got the better of me. Armed with a Tupperware container and a nervous smile, I marched up Alara's creaky porch steps. "Primera de tu!" "No!" I knocked on the heavy oak door. It swung open to reveal Alara, a woman with kind eyes and flour on her apron. The smell was overwhelming, a wave of pure bliss. "Hello," I stammered, holding out my container. I live next door. We have to know. What is in that incredible stew? Alara laughed, a sound like wind chimes. She beckoned me inside to a kitchen that was surprisingly modern and bright. A large pot bubbled on the stove. "It's my grandmother's recipe," she said, lifting the lid. I braced myself. "The secret," she said, leaning in conspiratorially, "is a special blend of wild mushrooms I forage in the old woods, a touch of smoked paprika from my travels, and..." She paused, smiling, "a whole lot of slow-cooked love. Mushrooms, paprika, love." That was it. I felt a wave of relief, mixed with a little bit of foolishness. She ladled a generous portion into my container. "There's plenty," she said warmly. "Tell the neighbors to come by next week. I'll make a bigger pot." That night, my family and I had a Lara stew for dinner. It was even better than it smelled. It tasted of earth, of spice, of patience. It tasted like home. The next Tuesday, the whole neighborhood gathered in Ilera's garden, bowls in hand. The mystery was solved, but something better had begun. We were no longer just a street of suspicious neighbors. We were a community, brought together by a woman, her grandmother's recipe, and the simple magic of a really, really good stew. Sometimes, the most mysterious things have the simplest, most wonderful explanations. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. The next Sunday, something dangerous happened. Wendy carried a small cooler to church. It was nothing dramatic. It was just normal food for after service. But in that compound, nothing Wendy did was normal anymore. Felicia noticed it first, she whispered. "See, She's carrying it outside. Mama Ephine turned. HM. What is she carrying? The cooler, Felinia replied. They followed her with their eyes, as if she was transporting secret documents. At church, Wendy shared small portions of the stew with two women sitting near her and said, "Please taste it." One woman closed her eyes after tasting it and declared, "Ah, this is too good, miraculously." That statement returned to the compound before Wendy did. And by evening, a new rumor had formed. She's expanding. Mama Ephine sat upright. Expanding what? She gave her stew to the church people. Mama Ephine's face tightened. HM, this is how it starts. Felicia nodded. HM first, the compound. Now the church. Meanwhile, Wendy remained unaware that her culinary skill had become a spiritual operation. On Tuesday afternoon, the landlord's wife decided to verify personally. She knocked on Wendy's door. "My daughter, what are you cooking?" "I am cooking stew." "Ma? Can I see it?" "Of course, Ma." The landlord's wife entered, sat near the kitchen, and watched. She saw how Wendy fried the onions patiently, how she blended fresh tomatoes, added pepper calmly, and spoke gently while cooking. "No hurry," Wendy said. The landlord's wife inhaled deeply. "HM, it smells rich." Wendy smiled. "I cook slowly, Ma." That sentence sounded innocent, but outside, it became a strategy. She cooked slowly. Mama Ephine repeated later after the landlady told her casually, "Maybe the slowness is the ritual." Felicia widened her eyes. "Do you think she also chants?" Mama placed her hand on her chest. "I don't know yet." So, they upgraded the observation. The children were now instructed to check at night, stand near her window after 10 o'clock. Mama ordered. "Why?" the little boy asked. "Just listen." That night, the small spy reported back. "I saw her cutting ginger." "Only ginger?" Mama asked. "Yes," the boy replied. Mama Ephine frowned. "HM, this is too organized." By Thursday, the compound was divided. Some believed it was pure skill, but some still believed it was something deeper. One woman said, "If it is only stock, why does my own not smell like that?" Another person replied, "Because you rush." The first time Wendy sensed tension properly was when two children ran away from her door, giggling nervously. She asked them, "Why are you running?" But they did not answer. Later that evening, she greeted Mama Ephine. "Good evening, Ma." "Evening," Mama Ephine replied stiffly. "Is everything okay?" Wendy asked. Mama nodded. "Very okay," but it was not very okay. Inside her room, Wendy told her husband again, "I think people are uncomfortable with me." Her husband laughed loudly. "Don't mind them. They just want to taste your stew." Wendy shook her head. "I don't think this is still jealousy. This is something else." And then the next day, something serious happened. A woman's husband returned home praising Wendy's stew loudly. "You should learn from that new woman. Her stew is heavenly," he told his wife carelessly. Ah, that was gasoline. Because the wife did not sleep peacefully that night, and by morning, she joined the committee of concern. "This is no longer cooking," she said. "This is spiritual influence." Mama Ephine nodded slowly.
"Oh, so now you understand."
Felicia whispered, "Maybe she adds something that attracts favor." That word settled heavily. Attraction, favor, influence, HM. Suddenly, when this quietness became suspicious, her husband's happiness became evident, and her red pot became a symbol. One afternoon, Mama Ephine gathered the women properly near the tap. "We must address this," she said.
"How?"
they asked. "We will confront her." Felicia blinked directly. "Yes," Mama replied. The plan was simple. They would not shout. They would just ask questions. That evening, 5 women walked to Wendy's door together. They knocked, and Wendy opened. She saw their faces and knew immediately that this was not about borrowing pepper. "How can I help you, please?" she asked them. Mama cleared her throat. "We need to talk." The tone with which she said it was serious. So Wendy stepped aside. Felicia stared at it as if it might confess on its own. Mama Ephine spoke first. "My daughter, you're cooking." "Yes," Wendy asked. "It is not ordinary," Mama Ephine added. Wendy blinked. "Thank you." "No," Mama Ephine said. "We mean it is not ordinary." Wendy looked from one face to another and asked, "What do you mean?" Felicia leaned forward. "Are you adding anything spiritual to it?" The question landed heavily in the air. Wendy stared at them for 3 seconds. Nobody moved. Then she laughed out of disbelief, but nobody laughed with her. And that was when Wendy realized this was serious. She stopped laughing slowly and looked at each face carefully. Mama Ephine's eyes were sharp. Felicia looked nervous but determined, while the other women avoided direct eye contact as if they were present but not fully responsible. "Spiritual?" When they repeated calmly, "Yes," Mama said. "We need clarity." "Clarity about you?" "Yes." Wendy exhaled slowly. She did not argue with them. She simply leaned on the kitchen counter and folded her arms. "Are you people afraid of my pepper?" Nobody smiled. Felicia shook her head. "It is not about the pepper." "Then what is it?" Wendy asked. Mama spoke cautiously, choosing her words like someone defusing a bomb. "Since you came, things have changed." "How so?" Wendy asked. "The smell." Wendy blinked again. "The smell?" "Yes," Mama Ephine replied. "My cooking?" "Yes." "And that is a problem?" Wendy asked. "It is not normal," Mama Ephine declared. Wendy looked at the red pot quietly bubbling as if it had nothing to do with the meeting. "I cook with ginger," she said. The women exchanged glances. "Only ginger?" they asked. "And stockfish water." There it was again, the brown liquid. Mama cleared her throat. "Stockfish. The same stockfish we use to cook soup. But it doesn't smell like that." Wendy tilted her head slightly. "Have you tried soaking it with ginger overnight?" None of them answered. Felicia asked, "So there is nothing else?" Wendy raised her eyebrows like, "What?" Mama Ephine lowered her voice. "You know all these small things that you people go and collect?" Wendy shook her head slowly. "No, no,